Madden is back. While some fans will undoubtedly complain that there aren't enough new features and that it's the, quote, same game that they've been seeing for the last 2 decades, take a closer look and football diehards will find some of the most authentic gameplay ever seen in a sports game. Even though EA Sports has been flaunting a list of 85 new features to fans for months now, when those additions are things as small as retextured grass and field goal nets, it's understandable that fans would be a bit weary. It's when all those trinkets and nuances come together into the cohesive unit that is Madden 09 that you'll see the progression from last year's game. Madden 08 enhanced the animation system that drives the on-field action far beyond anything we had seen before, and 09 takes that even further. The library of moves that players have at their disposal is, in a word, massive. I've been playing the final build of Madden 09 for nearly a month, and there are still new animations popping up every now and again. That's not to say that I don't see repeats as well, but there's no doubt that this year's game is the best moving in the 20 years of Madden football. There are new touches like a hit cam that shakes when you connect in a tackle by flicking up on the right analog, and a breakaway camera angle that's similar to the roadie run from Gears of War. The camera drops down behind you as you streak up the sideline and shakes back and forth. Both of these features are fairly inconsequential to the core gameplay, but they're fun nonetheless. Madden 09's gameplay doesn't have the vision cone or revolutionary camera angle that Maddens of the past have enjoyed as their one key feature, but it does toss in a lot of the old favorites that fans have been clamoring for. When you first boot the game up, you'll be greeted with a hologram version of John Madden. He'll present you with a list of 4 drills spanning rushing offense and rushing defense, as well as passing offense and passing defense, all of which are presented in the new virtual training center. While you don't have to complete the training exercise, doing so will establish your My Skill difficulty setting. It's a good idea to be sure, but the drills do feel a bit unbalanced. The defensive drills are overly difficult, and rushing as a linebacker during pass defense is essentially pointless. The other downside of this system is that it kind of screws your stat potential for your franchise. If I have a running back, say Maurice Jones-Drew for the Jaguars, and he gets 125 yards on the ground for the first game of the season, then my difficulty level will go up. Next game he gets 110, the next game he gets 95, and so on. My difficulty will continue to grow until MJD's dominance has leveled off, thus squashing his hopes of having a record-breaking season. It's much tougher to consistently blow opponents out of the water in Madden 09, which sounds great for football aficionados, but every once in a while you'll likely want to revert back to the old difficulty settings for a chance to make a few headlines. Presentation is the aspect of Madden that has likely seen the biggest overhaul since last season. Gone is the radio broadcaster, my thanks to the Madden community for making their opinion heard, and in his place are Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth. While you may have personal distaste for either or both, there's no denying that their observations are accurate for the most part. There's also EA Sports Backtrack, which is some of the first true analysis that I've seen in a video game. Calling out holes in an offensive line is one thing, but Collinsworth even goes as far as to point out open receivers in the moment when you should have passed them the ball. There are instances where it doesn't work as it should, but for the most part, it's pretty impressive. Of course, at the end of Chris's breakdown, you'll have the option of using the rewind function and restarting the play from scratch. While it can be turned off, tapping X after a play erases what just transpired. It sounds terrible and like it would ruin the gameplay experience, but most Madden veterans that I've talked to actually find that they use the rewind when it's available. Once you try it, you'll come to find that you actually rely on it quite a bit. Luckily, it's not available in online or multiplayer games. Off the field, Madden 09 feels even more familiar than it does on the field. The only new addition feature-wise is Madden Moments, which allows players to play through an important portion of one game from last season. You'll play things like the Dolphins' first win and the Giants upsetting the Patriots. Oddly enough, Aaron Rodgers is still the starting quarterback for the Packers Madden moment, even though Favre was the quarterback. The rest of the usual suspects, meaning franchise, exhibition, superstar, and a stable of mini-games, are still intact and perform just as you remember. The single addition that will excite hardcore fans is that of online leagues. It was clearly a bit of an afterthought in development, as it's not as fleshed out as it should be, but players can still be a GM of their league, pick out a championship trophy, and have up to 31 other players join up with their favorite team. It's a good setup, but isn't as forward-thinking as I would have liked from EA Sports' flagship title. Graphically, again, Madden 09 hasn't changed a whole lot from last year. Player models look more realistic than they did, and the altered gameplay cam does a much better job of keeping the action in view while also presenting a cooler look. And yes, the grass looks noticeably better. Overall, Madden 09 is an extremely good football title. Being the only NFL game on the market means that EA Sports could sit back and watch the money roll in, which some will surely claim that they're doing this year. But in reality, the company has done a good job of refining the Madden package into the most complete football experience we've seen. It's not perfect by any means, there are still too few penalties called, and fumbles are almost too infrequent this year. Even still, you won't regret sinking your money into yet another year of Madden football. For our final score, full text review, and my thoughts on the $90 collector's edition that features NFL head coach 09 as well as Madden 93, be sure to check out IGN.com.